Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Game of Knowledge and More. Game of Knowledge, GoCam, or Fred if you want to go by my real name. This is another deck profile, this time on my Shaddoll deck. This is different from the other deck because this time it's all about fusions. Well, mostly about fusions. There are some non-fusions in the deck, but sure that won't bother anyone too much. I'm going to start off with the monsters. First of all, there is two there are two Shaddoll beasts. What he does is that you can he has a flip effect where you can draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. Or if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can draw a card. So either effect is good for the deck because you'll be getting card advantage, especially the discarding he has, because all the other main deck Shaddoll monsters have got a graveyard effect if they're sent there, so you can discard any of your others to use their effects. Next up, there is 2 Shaddoll dragons. What he does is that you can target a card your opponent controls, return it to the hand, or if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target a spell or trap card on the field, destroy it. So not only can he get rid of your opponent's back row, but he can also return any card they control, so not just their spell or trap cards, but their monsters as well, if you need to get rid of any monsters that are special summon for the extra deck, because they all return the extra deck instead of the hand. Next up, there's Double Squamata. What he does is that if he's flipped face up, you can target a monster on the field and destroy it. And if he's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send the Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of him. So not only is his flip effect the opposite of Dragon's graveyard effect, but his graveyard effect can also help with further combos if I need to. Next up, there's 2 Shaddoll Hedgehogs. He's the searcher of the deck because you can flip him to add a Shaddoll spell trap card from your deck to your hand, which for me would normally be the fusion spell card. Or if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add a Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand except him. So if I really wanted to, I could send to the graveyard by a card effect to add beast to my hand. Next up, there's Double Shaddoll Falco. He's a tuner monster, so I can even synchro summon if I want to, but normally I'll be using another tuner in the deck, which I'll get into in a bit. But what he does is that if he's flipped summoned, you can target 1 Shaddoll monster in your graveyard except him, special summon it in face down defense position, and if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it in face down defense position. So whether he's sent to the graveyard by a card effect or flip summoned, you get to special summon a monster, regardless of, as long as it's a Shaddoll monster. Next up, I'm running 2 Neo Shaddoll Ariel. Her flip effect is that you target one of your banished Shaddoll monsters you can target one of them to special summon it in face up or face down defense position. And if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target up to 3 cards in your graveyard and banish them. Or not in your graveyard, but in either graveyard. So you can banish 3 of your opponent's cards as well. Next up, there's Shaddoll Wendy. both her effects are quite similar. When she's flip summoned, you can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position, except her. And if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck in face down defense position. That's really good if you want to fusion summon with her and bring out Beast to do some more sending to the graveyard. To finish off the Shaddoll monsters, there's Cad Shaddoll Kios. What he does is that if he's flip summoned, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your hand in face up or face down defense position. And if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send a Shaddoll monster from your hand to the grave, and if you do, for the rest of that turn, all your monsters you control gain attack and defense equal to that monster's original level times 100. So, and because it's a live tribute, it'll be really good for the monsters that I'm going to show in a bit. But I can send Beast to the grave due to his effect to not only draw a card, but make all my monsters gain 500 attack. And it's not just my Shaddoll monsters that will be gaining the attack, it's all my monsters. Next is for other monsters, I'm running one Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn. He's also a tuner, but he's part of the Lightsworn archetype. What he does is that during your main phase, you can mill 2 cards, which is sending 2 cards from the top of your deck to your grave. Then, if you just so happen to mill any Lightsworns from that effect, he gains 200 attack until end of turn, until your opponent's turn. And once returned during your end phase, you send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Because of the Lightsworn archetype having the ability of milling, which is sending cards to your graveyard, I run a small number of them because I don't want to mill too much with the deck. Next is Lila, Lightsworn Sorceress. She also has the end phase effect of milling, but this time it's 3 cards. And her other effect is that she can target a spell trap card your opponent controls, and you change it from face up attack to face up defense to destroy it. And her battle position can't be changed until the end of your next turn. So you do have to wait 2 turns, assuming she's surviving that long. But I'll normally use it for combo plays. To round off the Lightsworns, I'm running one Lumina, Lightsworn Summoner. She also sends the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave at the end phase, but that's not the main reason why she's in. The main reason why she's in is because of her discarding effect. Once per turn, you can discard a card to bring back a level 4 Lightsworn monster in your graveyard. So with that, you can bring back any of these 2, and since he's a tuner monster, you can tune for a level 7 monster if you want to. I'm running 6 more monsters, so to round off, I'm running 1 Rainbow Dark Dragon. This is my last resort for the deck. It's always treated as an ultimate crystal card, and you must special summon him from your hand by banishing 7 dog monsters with different names from your graveyard, which is quite easy for the deck since probably half of my main deck is dark monsters. Also, you can banish all other dark monsters from your field and graveyard for him to gain a 500 attack per banished monster that way, which is why it's my last resort. Next up is 1 Blackluster Soldier and 4 of the beginning. He can only be special summoned by banishing a light and 1 dog monster from your graveyard. And once per turn, you can either banish a monster on the field and making him unable to attack that turn. Or if he attacked and destroy an opponent's monster by battle, then you can make him have his second attack in a row. So you're essentially attacking with him twice if you're able to do that. Next up is Dark-Armed Dragon. He can only be special summoned by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, which is easy for the deck, because if I wanted to summon Shaddoll Wonder, who needs 1 Shaddoll monster and 1 dark monster, I can send Scroll Master to the grave due to that, and send another Shaddoll monster, which will fill the requirement. Also, he can banish a dark monster from the grave to destroy a card on the field. So it doesn't matter what it is as long as it's a card. Next up, I have both Black Dragon Collapse Open and White Dragon Rifle Buster. The way they're special summoned is a smaller version of Blackluster Soldiers. He can only be special summoned by banishing a light monster, and he can only be special summoned by banishing a dark monster. And if they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add the other one to your hand. So he can add a Black Dragon, and Black Dragon can add White Dragon. To finish off the monsters, I run 1 Summoner Monk. His effect is kind of similar, but the opposite to Lumina. His discarding effect is more specific, where you have to discard a spell card, but you special summon a level 4 monster from your deck, which is good if I want to summon rank 4 Xyz monsters, which I do run 1 in the deck. Now it's time for the spells. I run 2 Shaddoll Fusions. It is the fusion spell of the deck, and you fusion summon 1 Shaddoll Fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, then you can also use monsters from your deck as fusion material, which can make it easier for me to bring out Dark-Armed Dragon with what I said earlier. Next up, I run 2 Shaddoll Fusion. This is similar to a regular Shaddoll Fusion, except instead of using monsters from the deck, if your opponent has a monster from the extra deck, it's a quick play spell card, so if I wanted to, I could just set it, then during my opponent's turn, I could just activate it and be like, haha, I got a fusion on the field. Yeah, that wasn't, I don't know what you think of that. Next, I run 1 Shot of Greed. It's a slower Pot of Greed, because each time you draw a card for your normal draw in your draw phase, it gets a greed counter, and you can send it to the grave with 2 or more of those counters to draw 2 cards. So you do have to wait 2 turns to do so, but probably in a lot of decks, 2 turns probably mean nothing to them. Next, I run 1 Solo Recharge as a Light Sworn, as my last Light Sworn card in the main deck. What it does is that you discard a Light Sworn monster to draw 2 cards, then send top 2 cards of your deck to the grave. So if you wanted to, you can discard Waden to draw 2, then normal summon Lumina, discard a card, bring back Waden from your hand, and from your graveyard, I mean. Next, to finish off the spells, I'm playing 3 different pot cards: Part of Avarice, Part of Dichotomy, and Part of Duality. I start off with Part of Avarice. What it does is, you target 5 monsters in your graveyard, you shuffle all 5 into the deck to draw 2 cards. That's really good because I probably fusion summon a lot in the deck, so it'll be good to keep on getting my deck back, even if it is just 5 cards. Next is Part of Dichotomy, which is similar, except it has to be at the start of my main phase 1. It does do 3 monsters with different types, and I can't conduct my battle phase that turn, but I'm running more than just 3 types in the deck. Last up is Path of Duality. I excavate the top 3 cards of my deck, which shows your opponent, and you add one of them to your hand. After that, you will shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can't special summon for the rest of the turn, but that is fine. I can just protect myself with the cards, and it means that I've got an extra card in my hand that replaces Path of Duality. Now it's time for the traps. I am running 6 traps. One is Shaddoll Core. It can be special summoned as an effect monster, and you can substitute it for a fusion material that lists an attribute on a Shaddoll fusion monster. So, for example, if I wanted to summon Shaddoll Construct, then I can use it for the light attribute that it requires. And if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target a Shaddoll spell top card in your grave, return it to your hand. Next is 2 Shaddoll Incarnation. Oh wait, it is Incarnation. It's like a Monster Reborn, where you can special summon a Shaddoll monster in face up or face down defense position, and you can banish it and 1 Shaddoll card from your graveyard to either change 1 face down monster you control to face up defense position, or do the other way around. I run 1 Subterra Succession. You activate one of these effects. Also, after that, it is set back down instead of sent to the grave. What it does is that you send 1 monster from your hand or face up field to the grave to add a flip monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute but a different name as that monster before it is sent to your graveyard. Or you can send 1 flip monster from your hand or face up field to the grave to add a monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute but lower original level as that monster. So I can send my beast to the grave to draw a card and add like a hedgehog if I wanted to. And to round off the traps, I'm running double Jar of Avarice. It's similar to Pot of Avarice, except what it does is that it does 5 cards and draws you 1 card. It can't do another Jar of Avarice though, and you can only use once per turn. Now it's time for the extra deck monsters. I'm running 2 Shaddoll Constructs. All it needs is a Shaddoll monster and a light monster. It must first be fusion summoned, and if it's special summoned, you can send a Shaddoll card from your deck to the grave, which is similar to Squamata. And at the start of the damage step, if it battles a special summon monster, you destroy it. And if it is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Shaddoll spell target on your graveyard, add it to your hand. Most of the fusions that were in the deck has the same graveyard effect, so I'm sorry if you don't hear it again. Next is double Shaddoll Winder. Hold on guys, I am sorry about this. Next is double Shaddoll Winder. It needs 1 Shaddoll monster and 1 dark monster. It must first be fusion summoned. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, and each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while it's face upon the field. It has the Shaddoll fusion graveyard effect as well. Next up is the latest fusion, which is Shaddoll Apkalon. It needs 2 Shaddoll monsters with different names, with different attributes. It must first be fusion summoned, cannot be destroyed by battle, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If it's special summoned, you can negate the effects of a face-up card on the field. Or if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a Shaddoll card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, then discard one card. That graveyard effect is really good because you can just discard any of your Shaddolls to do something. Next up is El Shaddoll Annoy Tillis. It needs one Shaddoll monster and one water monster. Must first be fusion summoned, and neither player can special summon from the hand or graveyard using spell trap cards effects. It also has the send to the graveyard effect. To finish off the fusions, I'm running 2 Wendigo. It needs one wind attribute, one shadow monster and one wind monster. Must first be special summoned, and this is a quick effect. You can target one monster you control this turn. It can't be destroyed by a battle with an opponent's special summoned monster. And if it's sent to the graveyard, it has the graveyard effect. I'm running, for the rest of the extra deck, I'm running 2 synchros, 1 XYs, and 2 links. For the first synchro, I'm running 1 Michael the Arch Lightsworn. It needs 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner light monsters. And once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points to balance a card in the field. And when it's destroyed, you can target any number of other Lightsworn monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and gain green to life points for each return card. And during the end phase, he sends the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave. I'll put him in here because he's an easy summon with the 2 cards I mentioned earlier, with it being Lumina and Raiden. And my second synchro is Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. He has generic materials, which is 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and his effect is that your opponent cannot target it with card effects except your main phase 2. So he can be really hard to get over if all your opponent does is target. Now, I only have 1 Xyz monster, which is Shaddoll, the Scarplaster Musketeer. He needs 2 level 4 monsters, and you can detach a material to change something from face up to face down defense position, or you can detach 2 to target one other face up card on the field, shuffle into the deck. Those 2 are great effects because I can use the detach 1 to change a card from face up to face down. And for those who don't know how to XE summon, you just need, for him, you need 2 level 4s. You put them on top of each other, and then you summon him. That's not the same. It is different for most. It is different for some XYs, but not for all of them. Next, to finish off the cards, I'm running 2 Shaddoll Constructs. It needs 2 flip monsters, and it works as a Shaddoll Fusion because you can fusion summon 1 Shaddoll Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if it's in your graveyard, you can send the Shaddoll card from your hand or face up field to the graveyard to special summon it back. So you can send any of your Shaddoll monsters to the grave to bring her back and get their effects. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry that this is longer than the previous deck profile. It is probably a bigger deck than the other one. I hope you all enjoyed and learned something from this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.